Before we begin this topic, like every topic, check out my handwriting. It's getting better. Got a little diagram, everything. But let's get into the topic. Target heart rate. Target heart rate is very important, especially when it comes to identifying health goals. When you deciding when to work out, what to do, what muscles to work on, how hard you should exercise, how much you should exercise. It plays a major part. Because your health goals should include strategies that will help you improve and maintain all three sides of your health triangle. And we know that the three sides of the health triangle are physical, social, mental, and emotional. But when you're talking about target heart rate, you're mainly talking about the physical side of your health triangle. Even though this physical side is helping you, feel good about yourself when you exercise. And when you feel good, you look good. You may be able to approach people better for your friendships. Not always hiding in the house, going out with your friends, having fun, picking out clothes, things like that. So, we always say one side affects the other side. So we're gonna get into target heart rate, and this is mainly physical part of your health triangle. I did want to point that out. So, how to monitor your heart rate. During exercise, there are two heart rate measures to take. Resting heart rate and your target heart rate. Resting heart rate is important because when you're at rest, your heart should not beat like you just ran a mile. It's very important to test your resting heart rate. And then you can't test your target heart rate without testing your resting heart rate. I'm going to define the two on the next board. So, resting heart rate. Resting heart rate is the number of times your heart beats per minute at rest. When you are relaxing, key word, resting heart rate, relaxing. Like I said, when you're sitting at the desk, when you just wake up, you're sleeping, you're at rest, your heart should not be beating 120 beats per minute. An average heart rate should be, less than 60 or around 60 to 80. So resting heart rate, that's a healthy one. Being less than 60 is really good. So when you test your resting heart rate, it's just as simple. You can touch your carotid artery. We talked about that in class. Or you can touch, your wrist. Or if you want to do it the easy way, your heart. But a lot of times when you're breathing, it can mess up your count. But the resting heart rate, you count for 30 seconds and times it by 2, or you can count the whole 60 seconds and see what your resting heart rate is at rest. For the target heart rate, this is the range of numbers between which your heart and your lungs receive the most benefits during exercise. So that's the main point of testing your target heart rate, because you need to know, are you exercising to your fullest potential, or are your exercises too easy? Your target heart rate, that's when your heartbeat should be, more than 100 beats per minute, because that's how you're getting the energy you need to, burn calories, to sweat, to get the effective workout that you're working for. So this is all important. So to find your target heart rate. To find your target heart rate, you must first subtract your age from 220. Multiply the result by 0.6 and again by 0.9. The reason why you do this is because your target heart rate range, a good exercise, when you're looking at intensity, you should be exercising at 60% of your max potential and no more than 90% of your max. That's why you times 220 minus your age by 0.6 and again by 0.9. Remember, that's 60% of your max and 90% of your max. So I'm going to give you an example. John is 13. We're going to find a range for John at 60% of his max and 90% of his max. So we take 220 minus 13, and that's 207. 207 times 0.06 equals 124. So that's his low target heart rate. Then we do 207 times 0.9, and that equals 186. We have 186, that's 90%. That's not quite 100%. We don't need to go 100% when we're looking at a target heart rate range. But at 90% of his max potential, his heart should be beating at 186 beats per minute. So what does this mean? What was the point? Well, we're just going to still use John. Say you were 13. By looking at this range, 124 to 186, that just means that's a good range for a 13-year-old for your heart to work at 60% to 90% of your capacity. Capacity keyword cap. That's what your heart should cap off at, between 124 and 186 beats per minute. This is important because your range can help determine if you're not working hard enough. Maybe if your exercise is too easy for you. If your heart is beating at 118, you're not exercising like to your fullest potential. If your range should be 124, then if you're beating at 113, the exercise you're doing, you're probably basically walking or you're almost back at rest. So that's why the range is important. It's just to help you, figure out how hard am I working. So to close out, by monitoring your heart rate, you can maximize your workouts. You can use these ranges to determine, am I working too hard? Am I working too little? And it'll help you decide which exercises are working best for you. Because by testing these zones, getting in your target heart rate range, it's also safe for you. Remember, you should not be working at 100% ever. Barely 90. 90 is just, good for anybody that's real good on, high intensity workouts. But there are low intensity workouts also. So that's why the 60% is the low and the 90% is the cap. So it's just good to stay in that range. If your range is 124 to 186, if you're at 150, that is okay. If it's over, 186, if it's like 200, you need to slow down a little bit. You're working too hard. You do not want to pass out. That's very dangerous. So, right now, I want you to remember the formula. I'm going to pull the slide back up. Write this down. Subtract 220 from your age, then multiply the result by 0.6 and again by 0.9 and see what your target heart rate range is.